Good morning.
Good morning.
Great. Awesome. It's great to see everybody here and awake. I'm Jean-Gael Collomb, the Executive Director for the Wildlife Conservation Network. And I just want to welcome all of you here. And I want to take a very brief moment to share a memory of mine. I've always loved animals, probably like most people in this room. Ever since I've been a little kid, I've always been passionate about wildlife. And when I was 21 years old, I was lucky and fortunate enough to go live and work in the Lope National Park in Gabon in Central Africa, studying chimps and gorillas. And on my very first night there, this is what I heard. So that was a mother elephant walking just inches away from my window. Many of you probably have heard this sound, maybe on TV, maybe you've been fortunate enough to hear it in the field, and you probably know that this sound isn't just etched in your ears, it isn't just in your rib cage, you really feel it in your soul. It's a sound that I can't forget. And it's a sound that I never want to say that we can't hear anymore. It's a sound that I always want to be able to hear myself or know that you could go out there and hear it. It's a sound that to me represents the wild. And unfortunately, the wild isn't doing that great. As you know, many elephants are under severe threat. They're not the only species. Species you know, like lions, cheetah, as well as species that you don't know as well. If you've been coming to WCN, you might. Painted dogs, Ethiopian wolves, cotton tops. But there are many others. Great crowned egrets that you'll find, great crowned cranes that you'll find out about today. Pangolins that we'll hear about later today. It's not the way that I want the future for our children. I want to hand off a future that I feel better about, a future where I do have confidence that there'll be sounds like these and that the wild is okay. And I do have this confidence, and it isn't just hope. It really is a deep knowledge that we're going to be making the right choices to make this happen. And I know this because I'm fortunate enough to work with incredible conservationists. Conservationists that you'll get to hear stories from today, and they'll share their stories about how they face adversity, how they face what looks like insurmountable challenges, and somehow they come through. And they enable people and wildlife to coexist and thrive. I also have confidence that we're going to make this world happen because of all of you. All of you are here today. You've chosen to spend your Saturday with us. Whether you're 7 years old or 70 years old, you can make a difference for wildlife. I don't know what that difference is. I don't know what your contributions can be, but I know that you can contribute something. You could become a volunteer. You could make this your career. You could become a donor. You could share stories that you hear today with your friends and family. You can all make a difference. And so I invite you to kind of find that passion, find the way you can make a difference, and join our movement for wildlife conservation. So thank you very much in advance for doing that. I want to take a few minutes just to tell you a little bit about the Wildlife Conservation Network and a little bit about today. So WCN was created because we want to save wildlife. And to do so, we believe that conservationists, especially field-based conservationists, are uniquely placed to know how to create solutions that are going to be lasting, that are going to be adaptable, that can really respond to the challenges that they face. And so in 2002, we created WCN as an effective and efficient organization that could connect those passionate conservationists in the field to equally passionate people right here. And often those two worlds are hard to connect, and that's what we're trying to do, is we're trying to connect each other and find ways that we can help each other out and help these conservationists achieve their missions better and faster. When WCN was started, some of you might have been in Charlie Knowles' living room. It was 2002, and at the time, WCN was supporting 6 conservationists, probably granting $300,000 or $400,000 a year. And since then, we've grown quite a lot. Today, we support over 230 projects through the Elephant and Crisis Fund and the Lion Recovery Fund. We support 17 long-term partners working on a number of different species all over the world. We've supported over 100 scholars who all make a difference for wildlife. And collectively, all of you since we've started have enabled us to to contribute over $100 million for wildlife conservation. So I want to thank you all for this amazing achievement. Now, 90% of those funds go to support our programs, and WCN operates on the promise that if you want to designate your donation to go to a specific program, to a specific species, 100% of that donation will go directly to that species in the field. Charity Navigator, which ranks over 8,000 different charities, gives WCN a perfect 100 score and a #1 ranking for wildlife conservation organization for our financial health, transparency, and accountability. Thank you. For us, that's a great achievement, but the real achievements are all the things that happen in the field. And it's been a really, really exciting year. Through the Elephant Crisis Fund, about half of the countries in which we've invested are actually doing better with elephants, and that's fantastic. On the other hand, we still need to do a lot for those other countries, so the battle is not won, and we need to double down and continue our efforts. The Lion Recovery Fund, which we launched last year, has been able to support over 20 different organizations in multiple countries, and that is just growing and keep going and going. And at the heart of WCN are our partners, our 17 long-term partners in whom we invest for their growth, their sustainability, so that they can make a difference in the place that they operate. So we're really proud of all this growth. I get inspired by some of the stories that our partners share. It could be if you attend the talk by Peter Blinston and David Kuvawoga today, they might share stories about a painted dog community, or a community in Zimbabwe who had issues with painted dogs. And a few years back, they may have just gone out and killed those dogs. But instead, they reached out to our friends at PDC, and they found a solution so that those dogs and those people could live together. Or it might be a farmer in Colombia who was elated to see for the very first time a cotton-top tamarin on their land after they had been able to reforest it and creating corridor to connect those different habitats. So growth is happening, and it's moving in many different directions, and it's inspiring to me. Our growth is also happening right here. It's all of you. We're growing our community. When we started, about 90% of people who contributed to WCN were based in California. And today, not only have we grown the number of supporters to over 12,000 people, and there's about 1,000 of you here today, but 2/3 of those people are based outside of California. So we're trying to take this community as large as we can, because we all need to contribute and try to make a difference for wildlife. We're present on all the social media platforms. If you know somebody who would have liked to be here but can't be here, they could actually follow us live on Facebook or on YouTube. And we encourage you to join us in this wonderful movement, whether it's in person, online, but of course we'd love to see all you back here next October, and as well on April 13th for our Spring Expo down on the peninsula. I want to tell you a little bit about today. Today's a special day. The whole day is because we're all here to share our passion for wildlife, and the day is built so that we can connect with each other. So I invite you to come and meet all the people who will be on this stage, but also the people who will be back at their table. We've got 60 different organizations, and the stage upstairs, of course. We've got 60 different organizations that are outside. They all do wonderful work. And so I invite you to come, meet them, build connections, and find a way that you can all help. I want to take a quick show of hands, and we do this every year just to get a bit of a sense of what, how long and how big this community is. For how many people is this the first time that you come to a WCN Expo? Can you raise your hand, please? Wow. That's, yeah, big round of applause. Thank you. How many of you came because a friend told you to come or dragged you here for whatever reason? Please raise your hand.
A friend?
Okay.
It's Paul.
So all of you, including my family, all of you have to come back next year and bring a friend, because that's how this grows. We want this auditorium to be at maximum capacity. And how many of you have been to at least 2 expos? Please raise your hand if you've been to at least 2 expos. Great. Now keep your hand up, actually. We'll do this. Keep your hand up if you've been to at least 5 expos.
Whoa.
At least 10 expos? More than 10 expos? All right, thank you. So Big round of applause. This is a very deep and connected community, and I welcome you to join it. I hope this is not the last time we see all of those first-timers here. Please come back again. We're a great group of people. This is a worthy cause, and this is a fun, rewarding day. So talk to your neighbors. If you don't know somebody, you see them walking around, just make sure you go introduce yourself and go talk to all the conservationists. They all do really amazing work. I do have a few logistics, and I might need to pull out my notes for those, but there are a few things I need to mention. So I think everybody can probably find the bathroom for themselves. At lunchtime, unfortunately, we ran out of lunch tickets. So if you haven't yet bought a lunch ticket, I really apologize. We no longer have lunch. There are places nearby that you could get some food. There's a Subway across the street. There's a little food truck park about 2.5 blocks away. Please go get some good food out there, but please come back. We all want you to be back here. In between each session, we've built these long breaks so that you can go and talk to all the conservationists. So there'll be somebody walking around with a cowbell. That cowbell suggests that you come back in the session. It's probably time to wrap up your conversation or do your last bathroom break, and then come back into either of the auditoriums because the sessions will start about 5 minutes later. And so for the next bit, I do need my list, but this is a time that I want to thank everybody for being here. And at first, I want to thank our sponsors, the Walt Disney Company, the Houston Zoo, the Leiden Foundation, Endangered Species Chocolate, the Gordon and Betty Moore Foundation, the Sacramento Zoo, San Diego Zoo Global, and Safari West. Thank you so much for all your support to make this expo happen. I also want to thank all of our volunteers. So there's about 100 people or so who are giving up their time, their Saturday, to make this expo happen, and we couldn't do it without them. So big round of applause to our 100+ volunteers. It'd be remiss also not to thank our staff. WCN has an incredibly dedicated, passionate, and committed staff, and they make all of this happen, and they make it look really easy for people like me who are on stage, but really, they do all the real work all year round, so big round of applause for all of our staff. And I want to thank all of you for being here. The simple fact that you're here means so much, and it doesn't mean that for all the conservationists who are on stage, but for all the people that they represent. They can go back to their communities, and they could tell them, all those sacrifices you're making, they're all worth it. There are people half a world away who really care about this. And so you have no idea how much this means to them. They come here and they get exhausted because we work them out pretty hard, but they get rejuvenated by all this energy. All of your passion is what fuels them, in the same way that all of their passion is what fuels us. So thank you to all of you for being here and showing this passion.